All right, so welcome to lesson 3 of 28, week 2 in Radio 1, so H Radio 123 specifically. This is for the part timers. My name is Chris, I'm your lecturer. Please also remember that you are on WhatsApp with me. You can contact me directly should you have any questions or need some assistance, or you can just go to my mail, Chris Jordan is 007, I almost forgot it there, .cj@gmail.com, but that is available on Call Campus, so you can just go there. But I mean, why mail when you can just directly just DM me, right? So we've got two lessons here that have to do with demos this week, right? And that is part of your formative, which you'll see in the upload that I have provided this week. I've gone through a short walkthrough. And again, please, just a reminder to get started, okay, to get started with your formatives in general. And then obviously be aware and pay attention and keep it in the back of your head, right to the back of your mind. Um, that submission week is the week of the 6th of April. Please do not submit late, otherwise you will not get marked. All right. So the radio landscape, we're still discussing the radio landscape. We're in this particular sector arc of our learning. You can check out the next level radio textbook, which today we will be looking at. I'm just going to grab mine it's right on the table, and get ready for some exercises that are going to be in this lesson and the next lesson as well. Grant, Nash and Cullinan, next of Radio Durban, Edge Publishing Edition, chapter 14.1, 14.1, should I say, intro page 523, 14.2, academic preparation, right, so 525, and 12.3.1, if that's correct, then 12, or is it the 14, right? Right, so audio portfolio, page 529. All right, so let's have the second slide here. So we want to, in this, and I want to, right? I'm not the queen, right? So I want to chat specifically about understanding how to formulate a portfolio. So yes, a demo is our primary way of showing people what we are made of in terms of the work that we do on radio, in terms of podcasting, street box interviews, things that we might do as brand representatives or ambassadors, whatever it may be that can be related to our on-air product and us as an on-air brand. But also note that we are far, far, far within the golden age of digital. And so the thing is that you have a constant, so I say, obligation, so to say, not allegation, obligation, to be creating content online wherever you are active, whether it's on TikTok, Instagram, whether you are on X, or whether you're on Facebook or YouTube. These are the main platforms, right, that you want to be looking at to be able to just showcase more of who you are, understand those particular platforms, understand which types of posts actually work, content creation in terms of creativity and, obviously relevance and impact, or what people look at. Not necessarily, as I keep mentioning, don't be so I'll say obsessed with followers and likes and shares, even though we do push for that, yes, sure, and it does have some kind of impact. It's the quality of the content strategist. So we are content strategists at the end of the day. That really, really, really does actually matter, right? If you've got talent and you've got 4 followers, it doesn't matter. A station manager or a talent manager or a project, sorry, not a project, a program manager that has a good eye and a good ear for great talent will go and discover you and want to work with you. Do you understand? Okay. I'm going to assume that there was a silent yes and a passive yes. So, getting into the radio industry is not going to be easy at all. There are so many people that want to work in this industry in South Africa. We're very small in comparison to the larger countries. So, let's say Europe, America, the Australasian, I would say, countries as well are the leaders, and very big stations, very big opportunities. Lots of, I say, lots of people working in different sectors of radio and broadcasting overseas. Here we are rather limited in terms of, we have discussed this in the previous lessons, 22 commercial stations, We have our PBS, we have our community stations. We might have online, we do have online stations. Sure, we have discussed why online stations aren't predominantly a greater choice for you to be proven practicing, I suppose, because the whole format is completely different. The environment and the ecosystem is completely different. So you really want to actually be able to get a better upper hand, start a community, work there, get used to the ropes, right? And earn your way through to a great career here in radio. But once again, let's look at how many people, I mean, let's say on average, I mean, just let's look at how many options you do actually have opportunities. And remember, there are a lot of us that actually work in radio already, like occupying those spaces. Let's look at some maths, right? Okay, so the average radio show is 3 hours long. For a 12-hour radio station that we have, it should be 12 divided by 3, 4 shows per day, even though we know there's a lot more on weekends and some go through, obviously, let's say nights, so late nights, and I'll say the breakfast, let's say the evening breakfast, right? The nighttime breakfast, sure, 7 to 10, 6 to 10 shows, sure, but let's go on an average here, looking at all stations here in South Africa. 4 shows by 2 people per show, maybe if we're lucky, 8 people on air daily. For a 24-hour radio station, that number could grow between 14 to 24 people, as I just mentioned. Why? There might be different options, contributors, there might be sports presenters, entertainment presenters, co-hosts, teams, whatever it may be, or solo presenters, doesn't really matter, right? But there might be an average of between 15 to 24 people on air daily. So sounds good so far. The operations team can vary between 16 to 32 people behind the scenes, so producers, etc., admin producers, technical producers, whatever it may be. So let's say 300 radio stations. It's a little bit more, right? But we're looking at 300, right? The number of available jobs in South African radio, and remember, like the predominant amount of those 300 plus radio stations are voluntary. So in other words, community stations, right? Don't pay. When you're looking for job options, do not be driven by money because you need experience and you need exposure and a platform to work for. The available jobs between 4,000, I was going to say 4.5, but 4,800 and 9,600 jobs. It sounds like a lot. It really, really, really isn't, right? If you want to look at commercial jobs, I want you to do the math alone. So 22, let's say 22, forget PBS for the moment, 22, and then use these particular numbers as variables within the variables, and then work out that number and see how extremely that number completely dilutes down to something that's not exactly encouraging. But you know what? If you want to work in something, and this is, I believe in this to a large extent because I know that I've done it for myself, and I know an endless amount of people that have done it for themselves as well, and continuously do it. Beyond far beyond my, let's say, network that continuously make a name, do make a career in radio. It is completely possible and probable, even more than that, right? It is a reality, and you really genuinely do have to know how to stick out, stand out, be that particular special person with a big, big, big talent and a great way to apply it to be able to really get that job and retain it at the end of the day, right? Okay, so the reality check. Let's move on. They're considering that a single bank of FMCG companies or FMCG companies could employ an excess of 10,000 people. The number of jobs available in the formal radio sector is extremely tiny. So the corporate sector, so all companies are corporate. We get that. Even stations are corporate, as you know. But we're talking about the on-air aspect as well, and in comparison to any other industry, we are completely minute, right? So this is why you need to continue to look at new ways of creating content for an audience outside of the formal sector, right? Develop your skills, make sure that you're upskilling all the time. My advice to you is that you upskill within this particular medium. So, for example, broadcasting, new media, digital skills, like know a little bit about sales, know a little about production, know a little bit about TV, about print, digital print, and social media, definitely all these things that have to do with media. And primarily, if you want to work in radio, yes, definitely all the aspects of broadcasting on air in terms of the audio platform. Like you need to know how to do these things, right? Upskill and master those skills to the level and the capacity that you actually can, right? Increase your network of contacts as authentically as you can, right? I'm going to say that with a pinch of salt, definitely, because contacts are only contacts, and you can't depend on other people, and you hardly will be able to depend on other people to make something happen for you. But, right, the predominant amount of opportunities that do happen within this very small sector of the mass, let's say, workforce industry or the work industry here in South Africa, right, is actually made through contacts that you either impress, you come across, you create a connection with, they are exposed to your work. They could come across you, someone could come across you on social media, share that through to a relevant person. You never know, right? And this actually comes to, comes down to how you actually do get hired, right? In the predominant amount of times throughout your career, and improve your abilities through studying and definitely practice, which you are currently doing. All right, with academic preparation, right, to succeed in the world of audio, you need to learn two things. You need to learn how to read everything, and you need to learn how to watch everything. Now, these are really big statements. To read everything, I mean, you can audio read everything if you really want to, right? But to read everything is something that it keeps you informed, right? So it keeps you a little bit more intellectual, a little bit more learned, should I say, as opposed to learned. What's the opposite of that? The one is self-driven, right? Okay, so learned and applied. So it's understanding what you read and you consume it, you process it. It becomes a part of your everyday conversation, or the way that you connect with people, or the way that you enlighten yourself, and again your experience with others, or in certain situations. Reading everything and watching everything, right, is how you become a well-rounded media practitioner, broadcaster, right? So a little bit of everything really goes a long way. You can't watch everything, you can't read everything, right? Of course, right? But you can read a little bit of everything and you can watch a little bit of everything. It really does one. I mean, yes, for information and making you a little bit more prominent in terms of your intellect, right? And again, your knowledge base, right? That's an obvious a positive outcome of this. But also what happens is that if you talk to more people about what it is that you do read and you do watch and you do interact with, whatever it is, whoever it is, with what you know, you will also gain a lot of perspective in life, right? You'll become a more well-rounded human being, someone that people can connect with. You can talk to different types of people. You can relate to different types of situations. You can understand things that you never had, you never even knew existed before, right? And this is what we want in radio, like our radio people, right? Know a little bit about a lot and spend time with a variety of people. So that goes, without saying. So I have kind of touched on that on the previous slide. But Scott Shannon, how to excel as a radio professional. This, like I say, know a little bit about a lot allows us to start conversation and to be interested in conversation with certain people. So knowing a little bit about medicine, or knowing a little bit about health, or physical health, or mental health, or let's say talk wealth, your financial wealth, or your intangible wealth, your existential wealth, your religious wealth, your personal self-actualized wealth. And obviously, I mean, I can carry on forever, right? So we can talk about education, we can talk about politics, we can talk about economies, we can talk about relationships, and relationships with different types of people, with your pets, with your hobbies, with your I don't know, like your intimacies or whatever it may be, your that I don't make that uncomfortable. Let's not pause for too long. Right. You can look at, let's say, how things work. So knowing how, a little bit about industries that are different to us. So, for example, let's say fast food industries or clothing industries or logistics or like I say, medical. I've already mentioned before. Keep saying to medical because I know nothing about medicine and I know nothing about, that particular type of field or accounting or financials or anything. So my point is that, for example, I would go and familiarize myself with aspects of that make me not an expert professional, but someone that can carry a conversation with the right people to be able to learn a little bit more about the world around me. And so with that, I spend more time with a variety of different type of people, not just in terms of a profession, but we also in terms of diversities, different ages, different races, different cultures, different, say, classes, different types of mindsets, psychologies, um, psychological sects, right? Different types of movements, different types of enthusiasts, different types of influences. We can keep going on and carrying on, but I think you know what I mean. Okay. So, if we go to, let's say, 526 and 528, so I'm just going to, as we move along, 520. So, 522 is where the radio professional starts in your textbook. 526 is where you're going to see at the top of the page, yeah, over and above, on top of the page in your textbook will be what you see on your screen here. Over and above this, there are seven main qualities Jeremy Lewis says that all students should aim to cultivate in their academic, say, prospects, right? So your academic life. The first one is to have a positive attitude towards your studies. Why are you studying? You want to grow, you want to empower yourself, you want to learn, you want to become more than what you already are. You see a need for, let's say, what is it you want to, I would say, offer to the world, right? Within your own miniverse, right? So you go and you upskill, like I say, you empower yourself with knowledge, and that's given to you by professionals like ourselves, right? Who know stuff. We've been in the industry, we know what we're talking about, and we're also expert professionals in the academic material and the content that we want to talk you and walk you and make you live through, right? A passion for media. So, specifically, you are here to study media. So, you've got to love pop culture. You've got to love podcasting. You've got to love, like, anything that happens within the media space, entertainment, sports, again, politics, socioeconomic, again, there's health and wealth, whatever it may be, right? But the way that the media is involved in representing so many infinite, endless amounts of opinions and contributions, whatever it may be. And there's so many different spaces that you can go and consume media, and in many different ways, as we say, the passion for the actual industry, right? That's mass, broad umbrella industry is what you need to actually have, right? This really, and to make it sound quite Disney-like, but it's got to have a bit of a power, like this fire in your soul, right? In your heart, not in your soul, maybe that's a bit too religious, right? But in your soul. No, that's what I just said. No, for me, it's in my soul. So that's why I keep coming back to this, right? But it is in my soul. It's who I am. It makes me, feel like a bit more than just what you see and touch and feel. Passion really is what drives you at the end of the day. But yes, a passion far from your heart, the ability to work and think independently. Really, we want proactive people that are able to think out the box, right? And get to work when they need to get to work, or when over and above when they don't need to, when they want to get to and should get to work immediately and independently. Be confident, be proactive, and be productive at the end of the day. The ability to perceive and complete tasks, right? Persevere, sorry, persevere. It was my best am I reading? Okay, the ability to persevere and to complete tasks, right? Super important that you are someone that wants to get a job done, that can get a job done, that does get a job done, that understands that. that things shouldn't be left incomplete or off. I say approached in a man, it becomes a cuss word, but you understand if you go and do a lazy attempt at something, it's not a complete task. It might look complete, or you might reach an end to it, but it's really not complete, right? So, an inquiring mind, someone that's obviously inquisitive, someone that wants to know more, that can see beyond just what they see there, that's curious. Good English proficiency, right? I know I advocate that. Even me, I've got to loosen up my tongue and make sure that I get into like a bit of a groove, and to make sure that I constantly also reading out loud, reading the dictionary, having apps that actually help with your English vocab and your diction, again, your proficiency for enunciation and pronunciation, all the type of stuff that all of us should constantly do. Otherwise, you find yourself like now, for example, like I'm fumbling here and there. I'm predominantly I'm rushing through stuff. I'm looking at one word ahead of another, and that's why I'm not exactly my best English. I've got my best English face. Never was good at English anyway. At at the core at school, wasn't exactly my biggest forte. But I think most people, struggle with really mastering a language. For us, we have to have at least a good English proficiency, not a great one, right? So the ability to work well with others, right? So in your textbook, these specific elements that I have just actually gone through with you are covered, and you can go and read that for more reference or more information. All right. So if we look at activity 14.8, I'm putting up my textbook, but I've got obviously a snapshot right here. On page 528, let's look at some of the questions that you need to go and answer, right? And if you need some feedback on this, right, you can just obviously attend the next class, please, and we can go back to this and have a look at some of your answers, and let's discuss them, right? So, number one, list 5 areas of knowledge that you would like to develop or learn. That's something that can't really be tested, I'm saying to you. It's your life, it's your journey, and it's your step by step process that you want to go and enrich yourself and become again proficient in, right, at the end of the day. To explain in a brief paragraph how you could use these knowledge areas to create interesting content for a radio show. So, for example, learning how to use like audio editing software or video editing software, or learning what's like, let's say going on an English course, for example. All of us can benefit that. Always refreshing and re-empowering ourselves and re-strengthening our core language. I said it's the core business language around the world. So, even being able to go to a voice coach, for example, and improve my voiceover talents or voiceover skills would be one. And that would obviously lend itself for, the execution of great content, being able to know, again, how to say something with more proficiency and brevity is always, effective and always welcomed, right? Number 3, reflect on the 7 qualities that universities look for in a student, and then answer the following questions. So, according to the one slide before this, right? Hey, give yourself a score out of 10 for how you fare for each of the qualities, and then explain why you gave yourself the score. So, I mean, you saw I would right now mark my proficiency in English at this particular moment like a 3 out of 10. Doesn't doesn't I wouldn't go brag about it to anyone. I wouldn't go tell anyone about it, So and it's definitely again because I should actually go and just warm up, especially that it's like muscle memory, right? It reactivates what you already know and just kind of strengthens it. Especially if I want to go on air. Always when I go on air, I go and I do that specifically, right? Okay. Number 4, choose 3 of the communication strategies described in the table and then answer the following questions. So I'm just going to quickly, so we don't get lost here. The strategies in the table, communication strategies. Give me a second here. So I see uh, on page 527, There are communication strategies that talk about communicate effectively. Do not place blame on others. Support members of the group. Listen actively. Do not praise yourself and then get involved. Right. Those are the strategies in the table that is on page 527 to 528. Discuss again in a short paragraph why you feel that each one of them is important for good communication, and provide an example of your own for a situation in which each strategy would be useful. So let's take, for example, one like listening actively, right? Listening actively really gives you an edge, definitely, all the time, right? Because you have an edge on where you can carry conversation, or you can make conversation or communication more interesting. You can get rich responses, rich interaction, and you can get more out of a person that you're actually talking to, right? For example, that's just one of the advantages of being able to listen attentively or listen actively, right? Right. So good luck with that. Enjoy that. Um, let's move on with the last couple of slides, right? For lesson three. Can you imagine a footballer, so a soccer player, right? Footballer, soccer player, English, everyone else's for it in the world, right? Wanting to play for a professional football or soccer team without playing football. Just he or she or he or they or them, right, likes to play, thinks that they are talented, but because they can't get a job in the professional football team or in a professional football team, sits on the sidelines hoping to play. So you're looking at this person, you're probably rolling your eyes and saying, "Well, why don't you just get in there and do something? Why don't you just like apply for, or go and reach for a dream? Follow your dream. Go and be in B teams or local teams and work your way up to national teams, whatever it may be, right?" But then you've got to look at yourself as well. It's that same analogy as an audio content creator not creating content because no radio station wants to give them a job. In this day and age, in 2024, you have no excuse. And for real, just because you're not on a radio station doesn't mean you can't create content now. By no means. In fact, if you go and apply at a radio station and you have no social media presence and you haven't created anything out of your own, so in your own blog, on your own landing page, like a website or whatever it is, you haven't gone through the effort to create video material for TikTok and YouTube, whatever it may be, right? Written, like I say, pieces. What are you going to go? What are they going to say to you? Why should they even interview? Why should they even look at your like the CV that you sent them, right? It makes no sense, no practical or logical sense. So, over the next few lessons, we will talk about the body of work that you can start to create an audio portfolio, right? So, stuff that will support obviously your on air, or should I say, your broadcasting profession, right? The digital portfolio, so your social media, online presence, the experience log, volunteering and mentorship, networking, and relationship building. Yeah, there we go. All right. So we want to start with the audio portfolio. So the demo, right? Okay. In order to apply for any audio position, you're going to have to supply like a demo. The demos can vary in structure, they can vary in size, they can vary in format. So predominantly here in South Africa, we don't really get customized demos that are requested. There are some, like places like Radio 2000, I know have request you to go and, let's say, record something that has you pretending, for example, like you are on Radio 2000, right? Which for me doesn't really work because you get something that's kind of very premeditated, very kind of scripted and practiced and whatever. So you don't get the essence of that particular broadcaster and what they can actually do on air. So on air live, obviously, it's a live component, and that real time feel and what your capabilities are in being able to work well as you go and obviously showcase who you are as a talent, but also showcase yourself as a professional, right? The word demo is a little misleading as most program managers will prefer to hear what you have actually delivered on air or on a podcast. But demos as off air, pre produced pieces can be beneficial as they can showcase your ideas for content, your delivery, and how that fits in with the station that you are applying for. Just like I said, there are some stations that do demand or would request, should I say, that you do a pre recorded demo, right? Okay. Other stations prefer, again, something that's live, that's come from live aspects or live broadcasts. So, a good demo should be showcasing a variety of work, live work from a real show or podcast, or pre-produced pieces, right? And or pre-produced pieces. Remember, so I'm going to play you mine. I'm going to play mine's a showcase because I've had a lot of experience. I've had 22 years experience in radio broadcasting and podcasting and being at different types of stations and doing different things, whatever it is. I'm not going to play you the whole 15 minute showcase, right? Ideally, your demo should be around about maximum 6 minutes if it includes podcasting and social media stuff as well as on-air stuff, interviews, whatever it may be, right? Okay, but I can do a showcase because I've had a lot of work and I've done a lot of different things, right? Remember to create a demo that is funny, useful, beautiful, bold, or inspiring, right? It's going to showcase the type of person that you are. Okay. So open with your best work, and that is something that you can. When I say so, open with your best work is super important, right? Because you're trying to your first priority is to get their attention. So first 30 seconds to 45 seconds, super important to open up with a very strong link, something that gets their attention, says a lot about you without having to do a lot, right? And that can obviously vary because I've got many different demos. I've got a 2 minute demo, I've got 6 minute demos, I've got 15-minute showcases, I've got collab demos. Again, I've got podcasting demos. There are many different demos that require or different types of obviously I would say in terms of production, putting it together, right? Um, and the thing is, there are different, so it's not my best work in the whole wide world and throughout my 22 years, but I consider, for example, the one I'm going to play to you, it starts off quite strong for me and it definitely gets people's attention, right? Use the MP3 format because it is basically globally acceptable. It's small file size. You can actually send it should they want it in an email format, right? Or you can share it quite easily. People don't like you assuming that they can download megabytes of data or whatever um, content, right? Tell a good story, right? I'm not going into the pragmatics of how you actually construct the demo correctly. So that's more of a second, third year level thing. But telling a good story, making sure that each piece people can they mustn't be disoriented. That's the best way of saying it. Don't allow them to be disoriented. They mustn't think what's going on here. What's this person talking about? You got to construct it in such a way and edit it in such a way that every little piece there would give them an immediate understanding of what you're busy with, and which part of whatever it is your skills you're trying to showcase. Do not include music because you didn't create the music. It took a lot of millions of rands or dollars or whatever it is to go and create that particular song. So you can't take credit for it. Showcase your personality and be emotive. In other words, make someone feel something. Otherwise, they're not going to remember you. Right. Okay. So, example 14A on page 532. 532. Switch on over. Okay. I'm going to read through a little bit of it. Please read through the rest. Okay. So, I'm going to start a little bit. So most program managers, like other talent-based recruiters, make a judgment on a potential employee in the first few minutes of listening to their demo. So if it does not grab their attention immediately, then they may not take the time to listen to anything more. Never mind the whole thing. Although this may seem harsh, a listener on a radio station does the same exact thing. They listen to a few minutes of what you're saying in their current link. They might tune in, and if you're really boring, they're going to switch out, right? Program managers are looking for someone who will entertain them rather than someone who can simply recite a weather report quite logically. If you're able to speak intelligently with unique style, then you are certainly capable of reading a weather report out loud. So many people ask whether you need to have the right voice in order to work on air. Although it is important, it's not the only thing that actually matters, because you can be taught that as well, and you can be coached. Listeners select their favorite radio stations due to the station's ability to entertain, inform, and teach them about things that they do not know. Great radio makes listeners feel something. At the end of the day, this does not mean that a presenter needs to make people feel happy all the time. However, it does mean that a presenter needs to retain a strong sense of authenticity and reality. So it's therefore important to express genuine emotions so that listeners develop an emotional connection with you. You can go read the other half as well. So what I'm going to do now is I am just going to stop that share, right? I'm going to just go here. I'm going to share the sound and I'm going to go to where is that? Here we go. All right, I'm going to go to, this is my site, Chris Jordan Media. You can go check it out, chrisjordanmedia.net. It's got quite a number of cool things there, podcasts, projects, etc., whatever it may be. As you see, dates all the way back to, man, oof, what is that, 2014, good Lord. Right, been at it for a while. Okay, so here is, I'm going to play you a little, like a short bit. So let's say about the first 4 or 5 minutes of my showcase. Right, remember, demos are a lot shorter. And again, remember, we're going to loosely use the term demo.
In studio today, we have Dominee Andre Miller and we have theologian and professor from the University of Pretoria, Ernest Van Eck. But let's make it real, and it's to discuss and find some sort of common ground within the Christian faith as to whether or not, the scriptures say that being LGBT or part of the community means a life of sin and eternal damnation, to umbrella it and not trivialize it. I mean, I really did enjoy your services. I did find, I'm going to be honest with you, that there wasn't enough addressing LGBTI issues within the service. Yeah. Is that done on purpose?
No, that's on purpose, because we want to be a normal congregation like any other congregation.
But can I tell you why? I did expect something different, because I was struggling to find a church that I felt at home with. Yeah. And the truth of the matter is, and I will give you my personal experience, but it's what I call the Chris Pity Party. Uh-huh. It's when I do a throwback to the 15 to 16 years I was in the closet because of my Orthodox religion, which I did not want to reject. I went to and I sought out Andre's ministry to go and find some sort of segue between Christianity and being homosexual. That's why I did expect something to be addressed in that service that spoke to me as a homosexual man and a Christian man. And then he said, but I'm consulting for a funeral. So I was like,
balancing the books for a funeral? Or?
No. For you sing at funerals. So
he sings at funerals.
I told you now. Now, who in their right mind would not want to inquire a bit further, right? So I say to him,
okay.
So do they introduce you, like, after the service?
Straight from Cape Town. He's been playing all the big clubs, and he's here to say goodbye to your mom.
Beneath my wings, for you, straight out of Rosettenville, it's Miguel. What were the worst times? And you just said to me you were back in hospital last week for a couple of days. I don't like the fact that you need to go back to that, but I think people need to understand that 7 years have passed. 7 years were not great. If not the one where basically the truck literally, like that second that the truck missed a red light and changed your life, literally. Worst moment.
I guess, well, as you would know, as an ex-radio presenter, my voice was really important to me. Can you remember when you had to learn how to speak?
Not at all.
And exactly, that's why, because I think we would have all been on Prozac and Dilly in the head, because it's hard and it's excruciating. It's so frustrating. So I think that for me was one of the worst things ever.
Robin, how are you?
Hello, Chris. How are you?
Fantastic. Well, thank you. Thank you so much for chatting to us out here in South Africa. We're quite excited, man. We're going to see you in a couple of days' time. My question is, how excited are you, my man, to come to Africa?
Well, I've never been. We've never gotten to perform, especially in South Africa with the rich history and the tradition and the people and everybody that I know that's been down there.
Normally, your title is international music superstar. People all over the globe know your voice. I have to ask you, how hard? I get that you are grounded, but how hard is it to not walk into a McDonald's and be like I'm Robin Thicke. I want the real beef.
It really is just because it's easy when you make music about love and relationships. You have to be paying attention to how people feel. And so I'm just a lover, not a fighter.
Even for those people, I mean, we've been listening to your music for years, and those that have only just caught your radio singles over the past couple of years, still hear this constantly changing sound. Now, from A Beautiful World to Sex Therapy, I want you to please explain this point in your life that is being reflected in your music.
Well, with this new album, I was really trying to make an album about connecting intimately with the person you love the most to get your relationship back on track. And sometimes you need a little sex therapy, to kiss the person on the neck, hold them tight and let them know how much you need them, So sometimes that's all you need to get a relationship back.
Okay, well, I mean, I know you're a big fan of collabs. You worked with R. Kelly and Rick Ross and Lil Wayne, and obviously the fantastic Estelle just recently on your latest single. What do you enjoy most about a collab with artists that you respect?
Well, I mean, that's the beauty of making music in this new era is that you can just work with anybody because you're just trying to give the fans or give the people something great, that they want to listen to all day. So it's great to collaborate with people like Lil Wayne and Jay-Z and all these amazing artists, because it's an honor.
I read somewhere in an interview that there were people that you really wanted to collaborate with. Who still is out there that you haven't collaborated with that you'd like to work with?
I don't know, Dr. Dre. I'd like to work with Dr. Dre. I'd like to do something with Beyonce sooner or later. I just haven't written a song yet.
Welcome back to the soundtrack of my life. A musical walk-through, passion-directed journey, which is through my life and transits to an open narrative to you, who are taking some time out to listen to this podcast. Episode 4, titled Forever Young, is another round trip down memory lane to all those moments that make us feel life from a pure point of view. The memory I wanted to focus on for a moment was the bond I had with my mother when I was, like I say, about 4 years old. In the 80s, my parents owned a fruit and veg shop in a small community called The Orchards. My dad would be out at work and my mom would run the shop during the day. And we had a counter with a super old school till point, and I mean like ones where you had to kind of drag it down, like a bit of a what are those things called at the casino? Man, geez, what is it, like a slot machine? There we go, like a slot machine. And behind, or inside the counter lot, was a small compartment where there was a pillow and a couple of blankets where I would have my noon naps. And around that time of day, business was always rather slow. And man, I'm already smiling just thinking about it. I would lie in my mother's arms and she would tell me a story, a noon bedtime story. But it was never a tale about Cinderella or Sleeping Beauty or any nursery rhymes like Humpty Dumpty and Mother Goose. This was because from her youth, she always was told stories and folklore from our heritage as Greeks. So the mythologies of the gods, from Zeus's glorious battles to the Odyssey and claim of the Golden Fleece, Jason's battle with the Hydra, the Titans, Medusa, and so much more. And I absolutely loved it. Not just the stories, but she was the first and sentimentally the best storyteller that I've ever known. Those moments were soul connecting with soul in a foundation of unconditional love, listening to her encouraged and passionate voice as she made those moments just for the two of us.
So, Random Radio welcomes Mac G.
Yeah. It feels funny because you're the host now.
Yeah.
I'm like the guest
You are.
DJ.
You can actually sit back and you can relax
Yeah,
and you can
for
be
a
like
change.
all famous and stuff.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah,
my
yeah.
thing is that it's and we're having a chat about this. It's a very white thing.
Yes, yes.
To go on dates, like
But Mfundini, who does that? Mfundini.
But no, seriously, they're like, what do your black friends say? BLEK.
Just hook up, dude. There's no like, I'm going on a date. You know, I haven't
Nothing
seen
at
this
all.
guy. No, there's no like, I don't get a bio of the chick before I meet her. It's just about, okay, look, you look nice.
Okay.
She can get it, you know,
Yeah.
and we hook up and then we have a couple of drinks. And, you know, if my mom is not there.
Why? Yo. The rise of Mac G. The rise of Mac G.
Who's Mac G? I don't
You
even
get
know.
what I'm saying?
I don't even know myself.
Hey?
Yeah. You know, I'm still in the.
You're known for putting your foot in your ass in your mouth. So
And that shit has got to stop. You know what I mean?
you live with your mom.
I live with my mom.
How
yes.
long has it been?
Ah, dude, all my life.
Best relationship of your life, eh?
Yeah, man. When I was in high school, I was a nerd. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So I never got a lot of
Describe
pussy.
nerd.
I used to. Play,
I was a nerd. You got to match up to this, eh?
I was playing magic cards.
Oh.
Did you ever play magic cards?
I didn't. I was a bit more before your time. I played like hand tennis.
You know, I had a
know,
Tamagotchi.
like-
Did you have a Tamagotchi?
Also before my time.
Like the thing is,
No. Tell me about magic. Like
Magic cards.
Yeah. I'm a druid. A druid or two-headed.
yes, yes,
Griffin.
the ultimate party back in my days in
Oh
high
my
school.
God, yeah.
It was a LAN party. You know what I mean?
Yes, yeah. Yes, you're getting. You're just. I just to let you talk. Eh? Big Bang Theory with Steve Urkel.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Good memories, man. Okay. So I'm going to stop that share over there. And I'm going to end the lesson there. So think about how to stand out. I mean, when I listen back there, I'm like, cool, that's great. I definitely know that I do stand out. I do have a specific type of personality as well. As you can see, like I'm not really that different, I suppose, but I am very, if you're comparing the lecturer version of me, I suppose, and the off-air version compared to an on-air version, there was podcasts in there, as you heard. There was on-air stuff. There was stuff from when I was doing some online radio. When I did commercial radio, when I did, there's so much there as well. It really gives you a good indication and a good kind of like idea as to what type of presenter. I'm much more of a, I suppose, more of a fun presenter. But there are times, like I say, when I was interviewing Irene specifically, she was an OFM presenter, a good friend of mine as well. That was, ridden over by that 50-ton or 15-ton truck. There's just a certain time and place to be a little bit of an appropriate person, right? Can't make a joke out of that. Nor do I want to either. I want to be a well-rounded DJ and presenter, just like you should also want to as well. And make sure that when you are currently working, you might have a demo now or an audio portfolio, right? You want to be able to focus on being able to put together something strong, right? And something that really represents you, that you're passionate about. I'm sure you could hear that in every one of those particular links that are on the demo so far. You could hear, I just love radio, and I'm sure you do too, or you're going to. I'm going to end the recording or the lesson there. Have a good one, and I'll see you in the next.